Hello everybody, welcome back to the Health Wealth podcast. This week I'm speaking to health and fitness enthusiast Jay Haslam, and we talk about his 13-year journey through health and fitness. We talk about a lot of the misconceptions within the fitness industry, how that relates to health, the things that he's dealt with along his journey and the things that he's discovered. We dig into health as well, talk about the state of the current healthcare system, how that helps or hinders us, and how we can deal with that. And we talk about his personal story about he had to deal with a skin condition and how he was eventually able to overcome that. So it's a really interesting show. We cover a huge array of topics and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Also, don't forget we have our community up and running. This is completely free. You can join it and we're just learning about how to be healthy, how the body actually works, and diet and lifestyle changes you can make to completely optimize your health. It's completely free. Link will be in the description, so make sure you check that out. Let's get on into the show. So Jay, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. Why don't you first just introduce yourself to us?
Hey Ryan, thanks for having me on. I'm Jamie. I'm 29 years old from the UK, and I've been on a health and fitness journey for probably around sort of 13 to 14 years. And my ideas, my perceptions, what I believe to be true and false have changed a lot in those sort of 13 years, more so in the last around 2 years, which we'll get into. But yeah, ever since I've been sort of 17, 18 years old, been very much into fitness, into the gym, and then subsequently come sort of into the diet, what to eat and everything like that. And yeah, no, it's been an interesting journey so far, and that's one of my passions. So yeah, I've just been going to the gym for quite a while, and that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 12 to 13 years.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine how your perceptions have changed a lot over that time. It does with a lot of people,
Yes.
especially the people we speak to on here. So, take us back, take us through some of your health and fitness journey, what you've done, and things you've changed, and how that's helped you.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, when I first started the gym, same as most people, I didn't really understand what to do. You sort of go in there, lift a couple of weights, you don't really know about the form or repetitions, time and attention. You just sort of go there and you kind of just grow anyway. When you first get into that environment, you just kind of gain a bit of muscle, gain a bit of strength anyway. But that's sort of the time where the YouTube OGs were kind of popping up. So you had the Six Pack Shortcuts, you had the Chris Jones, you had the Matt Ogos, you had that sort of fitness community. So I learned a lot sort of around that period of time when I was getting a lot more into the gym. I was going more consistently. I was then starting to look at the diet. So I was almost under this illusion. I think maybe it's just me, maybe other people I don't really know, but I thought it was the case you just go to the gym, go about your day, and that's it. But then I realized that the diet is actually, if anything, a bigger part than the lifting. So then it went into the protein sources, how often eat, frequency, volume, all that sort of thing. So yeah, no, it's I've sort of changed a lot in my view of what's optimal, but also what's going to be healthy just for to kind of go about your day-to-day life, kind of making it a lifestyle instead of just doing it for pure aesthetic, so more the health side of it. Um, so yeah, that's sort of why I started off, kind of going very early on, discovering about the whole diet thing, the YouTube OGs back in the day sort of thing. So that's sort of where the journey began.
Yeah, yeah, that's important what you mentioned about it being optimal for health, which that is because people always talk about health and fitness together, don't they? As if it's one thing. But I think there's lots of people that can be maybe fit and into fitness, but aren't healthy because it's not necessarily a healthy
Yes.
thing, is it?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and it's almost to a degree quite ironic because when you see these bodybuilders, more so the unnatural ones, where they look fantastic, depends on, I guess, whose eyes are going to be looking at it. But when you can appreciate that physique, you know the health side of it is suffering as a result of that. So you're completely right. They are meant to be together, but actually, I guess in the fitness industry, they're almost not together at all. They are almost opposite end of the spectrum instead of being all together. But I guess that's to do with the marketing as well, isn't it? You kind of,
Yes.
if you're trying to achieve something that is unnatural looking, something whether it's for maybe more as a male, so much more body mass, different size and strength and everything, usually your health to a degree will sacrifice to obtain that, which is, oh yeah, it's the ironic part about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, did you, when you were in that point, did you, how was your health then? Did you have any health issues when you were at that point, kind of concentrating on the fitness side?
Not really, not really. I mean, I sort of bought into the whole eat big, get big, start bulking, start cutting.
Mm.
So for probably 7, 8 years consecutively, quite in a disciplined way, I would bulk heavy and then cut heavy. So there was very little time for me to actually enjoy my physique. I was either to a degree force feeding, but I was just eating as much as I could, doesn't matter what it was, sugar, carbs, whatever, just getting the calories in. And then a very, very big, harsh deficit towards the end of it, towards the summer. So I'd almost have that duality, and I'd never really go in the middle.
Yeah.
To me, my mindset was, well, why would I be in the middle? Because I'm not getting leaner, I'm not getting bigger. It's just a waste of going to the gym. Again, I completely disagree with that now. But at the time, a bit younger, a bit more like, I just want to get jacked. I just want to look big. And then it's, but I just want to get ripped, just want to get my abs. And then I kind of go back and forth between it. But I was very disciplined with each section of it. So I'd be counting my macros, my calories. I'd be sure to be in 3,500 calories, which for me was a bit of a struggle. I know some people is a bit easier, but I'd struggle to get those amount of calories in. And then for the dieting, I was going to the gym 6 days a week and doing cardio every day. And it was just an absolute mess. But I got the results. That's the thing about it. I got the big bulky, almost fat result, and then I got very, very slim. But both ways, I'd always lose the muscle. So that's the thing about it. When I was bulking hard, I was like, okay, I've got all this muscle, just need to trim it down. But I think there's a lot more of the body fat taking over, a lot more glycogen in the muscles, making it look a lot bigger than what it actually was. And what I soon discovered is, I say soon, 7 years later, what I discovered eventually was my body just wasn't really made to hold a huge amount of muscle. I'm much more of an ectomorph if we're kind of going down the lines of a body type, so to say, but I'm just not naturally a big, like big, strong power. It's just I'm a lot more of a athletic, I guess, perspective, like quite skinny waist, a bit broader shoulders, a bit more of a V taper. That's pretty much all it was. But I was just determined to kind of change that, but it just never really worked out. Not really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's hard to change your biology. But you, I mean, you alluded to it earlier, which is
Yeah.
a good point, that an overly muscly physique is not a natural physique for humans. And it's not something that we
Yeah.
would have ever had before sort of more recent times when people have got into bodybuilding and things like that. You know, just the kind of athletic, you know, muscular, but just in an athletic, slimmer way would have been the build that humans would have had and that would have been looked for. So like you said, it's trying to, it's sort of going against the biology in these people, and that's why so many of the people take take drugs and other stuff and steroids to help them get to that point, because naturally it's not what we would normally be and not what's healthiest for us, as we said.
Yeah, no, you're completely correct. It's funny because analyzing that, you mentioned it's quite a new thing. As in, this never used to really be the case. I'm assuming social media really was a big catalyst to the,
Yeah.
let's say, problem of trying to achieve a certain aesthetic look. I mean, going back before Instagram or anything like that, you wouldn't really be competing. It is a lot more localized, whereas nowadays it's on a global scale. Because when you take a picture, the whole world can see. Whereas before that, you would have to be at the beach or the town, or you know what I mean, only
Yeah.
local people could see it. So actually, that's a really good point, and maybe that's why the drug use in the industry is skyrocketing. I mean, the amount of people on something nowadays is unbelievable, whether it be SARMs, whether it be actual steroids, different hormone,
Yeah.
so many people. And I guess that's why, because everyone's trying to achieve this new physique. Yeah, no, it's interesting you say that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely made it worse. There's more people are constantly comparing, aren't they? They feel that need to, social
Yeah.
media is that people need to portray themselves a certain way, and it probably is putting more pressure that people are using more and more things to try and, keep up with the Joneses, as they say. And some other guy's looking big. You don't know what he's used to do that, but you need to look that big as well. So you've got to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly that. And the funny thing about it is a lot of people, let's say you see a guy at the gym who's pretty big, someone who's a little bit more ignorant, maybe like, oh, he's done that naturally. Like they don't really know that's unachievable. So then they hop on something to try and achieve something, and it becomes a knock-on effect. But I mean, we got younger and younger, all using this stuff.
Mm.
I'm quite separate from the fitness industry now. I don't really follow much of it at all, but I remember seeing a couple of videos not too long ago, sort of 2020 during lockdown. I was just binge watching all sorts of YouTube videos. There's 16, 17-year-olds, kids, let's call them kids, just starting on Psalms because Psalms sounds a lot less harsh than a steroid. You know what I mean? Just more oral than injecting, and I guess it looks like it's watered down, but it's not necessarily watered down. I mean, the effects, the what comes from it, very real, very,
Yeah.
very real. So yeah, it's just kids younger and younger just trying to take these things.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's sad because, the life expectancy of, bodybuilders and people doing that is a lot lower than the average population. And you see a lot of stories of them, dying young from heart attacks and different things. And, that's probably highly related to their drug use and their use of these substances.
Yeah. And another thing something to sort of come on to is I'm not an expert in this field at all as far as performance enhancing drugs, but from what I believe to be true, the amount of drugs these people take nowadays far exceeds what it used to
Mm.
be when they were becoming more popular. So the Arnold era, that sort of time frame. Again, I could be wrong with this, but what I believe to be true is just the dosage, the amount of gear they're going to be on, but also stacking it. So you've got different compounds people are going to be using. I believe it way exceeds what it used to be. So again, yeah, no, there are a lot of people dying a lot younger, but again, until you really say that, I don't really think about it. But you're completely right. It is happening, and if things carry on, it will continue going in that direction. People will get younger and younger when unfortunately they do find the consequences of taking those drugs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think with anything, like if people use something to get results as time goes on, people want better results and they'll use more and more, and as it goes on it gets worse, isn't it? And that's been the same with that. So yeah, it's sad because again, because it's fitness, people would almost look at it like, oh, look at that great physique and they're so healthy and this and that. But as you say, that they're almost the opposite of health in how they actually are.
Yeah, yeah, no, completely agree, completely agree. And again, let's say someone who really does weigh a lot based on the amount of muscle mass that he has, then that usually means he needs to eat more calories to maintain that, which means again overindulging. So again,
Yep.
your body is just going to be taxed even more trying to process all of this food, and typically it's going to be food of higher carbohydrates, higher sugar. So all of a sudden you got it's just a knock-on effect
Yeah.
in all the ways. So yeah, just one little thing can really negatively impact you and mentally as well. You mentioned about how you've almost got to once you have a little bit, if you come off it, then you lose your game.
Yeah.
So you've almost got to always be on it. If you're not cycling, you need to be cruising. And yeah, it's just a crazy thing about it because once you go off cycle, you will lose you will lose most of your gains, but also it's the mental. I believe it's to do with the testosterone. Again, I'm not an expert, but from what I believe, if you're injecting testosterone and your body's not producing it because you're getting it externally, you're outsourcing it. Once you take that away and your body still isn't producing it, unless you go into a post-cycle therapy, then your hormones are going to be completely out of whack. Your mental space is going to be bad. You're going to be looking at yourself in the mirror, unhappy because of how much you've lost. You're going to be feeling bad. Again, it all does have a knock-on effect.
Yeah, absolutely. That testosterone is one of the biggest issues I think young men have nowadays, is because we all know that testosterone levels are going down all the time in terms of,
Yeah.
the averages, which, is down to dietary and lifestyle factors and the environment we live in. But the amount of people that, obviously, when you go for medical help and you go to the doctors, and people are just thrown on TRT so easily. And I mean, with 99% of people, by making changes to your lifestyle, your environment, your diet, you could get your testosterone back to normal levels. But they're just thrown on this TRT, and you can't go back. Like you said, your body shuts down production because of it. It can make people infertile. As you say, low testosterone has a lot of knock-on effects, and I think it's a huge issue for men nowadays, which isn't really being addressed. They're saying, "Oh, it's low testosterone, fine," but their only solution to that is go on TRT, when actually you can fully reverse it naturally.
Well, that's a tale as old as time of going to certain health industries and
Yeah.
them giving you something that you, to a degree, pay for, opposed to a
Hmm.
natural solution. I mean, natural solutions, we can talk about them. And again, you know a lot more than me about this, but getting the right amount of sleep, like resting, there's many things you can sort of do to increase it naturally. And you're right, they're not really giving you the solution, but more so something to kind of carry you over, not fixing
Yeah.
it, but to put it in place sort of thing. But
Yeah.
I guess that's how the industry works.
Yeah, I mean that's the way they approach everything. It's medications and drugs. They cover up, symptoms and help you to just get by. They never address the actual causes, and they never make it any better, or, allow your body to heal. It's just covering up, and then you get more knock-on effects from that. That's the way the whole medical industry works, which, you know, is a profitable business model. We have to face it. It makes a lot of money, and that's why it's still there.
Completely true. And the only issue with that is I think people are a lot more ignorant as to that being their business proposal.
Yeah.
If you believe that they are genuinely trying to help you as far as help your condition or something similar to that, then you're being in for a rude awakening when a couple of years later your issues are still there, but you need to carry on with whatever prescription drug you're taking, which A costs money, but B, there will be a knock on, there will be some sort of side effect with whatever you're taking. And unfortunately, don't like the word victim, but I've been in that cycle around, I believe it was end of 2019. I just started getting quite a few boils, and there was no reason in particular, nothing I could really think of. My diet didn't really change, my workout didn't change, my lifestyle. It was all very similar, very uniform. And then for no reason, I just started getting these boils. Because it was peak period, which in my work, which is furniture sales, which was really busy and everything. I was like, maybe it's stress, maybe because I didn't have time to eat properly, I'm having a few more um food that isn't as natural or whatever the case is. So I thought once it gets a bit more quiet, I get back into maybe more of a normal traditional routine. It sort itself out, but it never did. So I went to my GP, mentioned it straight away, bam, take this. Here's a pill. Take it once a day and do this and do this. I'm like, yeah, cool, fine, done that. And it worked. It worked fine. And then I came off it. Then the boils came back. Had to go back on it. And I was none the wiser to just what the antibiotics were doing. To a degree, I still really don't know the after effects of it. I almost don't want to know. I almost want to be ignorant about how much harm I've caused. But over and over again, I'm talking years of just antibiotics on and off, on and off. And finally, one GP was like, "You've had quite a lot of it. You shouldn't be on it that much." I was
Mm.
like, "Well, a doctor told me to, so why would I think any different?" And then I was like, okay, I'm beginning to understand a bit more about the business model and curing it naturally, or a lot more natural than these antibiotics. But you're completely right. It's to cover it up. It doesn't fix what's wrong with you. It just masks over it. Then when you stop taking it, the mask comes off and it happens again. It's just how it works.
Yeah. Hi guys. Now, I don't promote many products because most of them are just pure marketing, and I'm not going to recommend anything that I don't personally believe in. However, when I do find a good product, then I'm more than happy to share it with you all. So, I'm excited to share Hazza Toyz. They're combining fitness and fun for your little ones. Hazza Toyz specializes in soft, plush, fitness-themed toys for newborns and up. These adorable toys promote healthy habits early on with plush, dumbbells and kettlebells that are perfect for tiny hands. Each toy includes a small rattle, which is fantastic for sensory development and keeping little ones entertained. And Hazza Toyz integrates physical activity into playtime, enhancing motor skills and coordination. So we've teamed up with Hazza Toyz for an exclusive offer. You can use the code HEALTH10 for 10% off any toy or bundle. You get free speedy UK delivery from the local warehouses, and you can get a free ebook, Dreams of Pink Plant Woods, with every purchase. So don't miss out and use the code HEALTH10 today. Absolutely. Got you trapped in the cycle. I think one of the very clever
Yeah,
things they've done, especially in the UK, is they call it the health service. And that makes people think that it's just there like for us to serve. It's just there to make us healthy, and that's their goal.
yeah,
Whereas it's not. It's a business and it's an industry. And even in the UK, where people think it's free, which it's not because you pay taxes for it, and the
yeah.
government, government officials have relationships with people in these pharmaceutical companies and use them whatever. And anyway, there's lots of money being made by these people, but it's still
Yes.
it's an industry. It's not a service, but they called it the health service, and people think, oh, it's this amazing thing. It's free. It's just there to help me. No, they're there to prescribe you drugs. As you personally experience, just prescribing you this over and over and over, doing countless damage to your body, never addressing the problem, and they just are happy
Yeah.
to do that to you. And the quicker people wake up to that, the quicker they can start to actually learn how to take control of their health.
Yeah. No, completely agree. Completely agree. And if anybody's watching this in any sort of similar position where they're taking a drug over and over again, I just really would do your research if there's any natural remedy to it, because chances are there might be something that could help, whether it be certain herbs or certain compounds you can eat to really help with that. But it's just a lot of people don't really know and they are ignorant. And unfortunately, a lot of people start finding this out when their health does deteriorate and the
Yeah.
GP or the doctor doesn't really have a solution for it, or the only solution is take another thing on top and it adds to the issue even more. So I I never really wanted to be one of those hippie people, but it seems like I'm becoming one of them. But there are natural remedies. I mean, there's many things that people have been taking that is really good, like apple cider vinegar. You got organic lemon juice. There's so many things you can sort of have that just does do certain stuff for your body, which a lot of people do maybe need. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the majority of things, even just by making diet lifestyle changes and even just changing what's in your environment, what's around, most things you can reverse and get rid of literally just through that. You without even having to, people aren't having to dig up these recipes and make all these concoctions, which you can do for herbal remedies, and natural herbal remedies work for a lot of things. They work great, as you say, but most things you can even reverse without even doing that. It's just simple lifestyle changes, but people aren't aware of that, and I think people find it even hard to even believe. Like most people you even talk to about it, they'll just instantly dismiss it because we've been brainwashed our
shut
entire
it down
life.
straight away.
That's it,
Yeah,
because we've been brainwashed that no, like you go to the doctor and you get medication to get better. Other stuff is going to make no difference, and it's instant. Like,
yeah.
no, that's not true.
But Ryan, it's a free health service. I mean, why would they be doing that?
Exactly. They don't
But
get anything out of it.
yeah, and things it does snowball because when you start to look into that, and then again you look into the the nuances, and you go a bit further and further. Before you know it, you're like, what sort of rabbit hole have I got myself into now? You start just looking everywhere and start to, I mean, if you do that your own National Health Service, then it's very easy. If you even accept that, then by proxy, you start looking at other industries, let's
Yeah.
say, and then before you know it, you're just a full blown. You're just looking around. You're, no, now I'm one of those people who is just super, super not anti-establishment, but you start to see
Yeah.
through the veil sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, you do. You wake up to a lot of things, and yeah, the rabbit hole's quite deep. There's a lot in it
Too
that you
deep,
can go
yes.
down and look at. And I mean, so with your skin issues as well, because that's how we worked together a little bit on that in sorting them out. So
Yes.
talk us through how that went and how you kind of managed to eventually get it under control.
Yeah, so it was beginning of this year when it might have been end of last year, but with the whole taking I think it's limecycline, that was the pill that was prescribed to me. I might have pronounced that wrong, but it's the antibiotic. Again, I was on that for ages, and I remember, and I was in work at the time, but I got through to my GP, and I
Mm.
again had these bad boils on my face and neck, and I just said, look, I actually understand that I shouldn't be taking this, but I just need one more dose. I will sort this out after. I need this gone. And I'm not one to really talk about mental health in the sense of me feeling in a bad way and my confidence and all of this. But when you have got a massive boil on your face, it doesn't feel great. It doesn't
Absolutely.
feel great at all. So I was like, just get me this done. I will, I didn't say this to her or the person on the phone, but I was like, I will fix this somehow. I'll find something. And yeah, fortunately, I found your work online. We got in contact, and you recommended to have a new skincare routine, which I do to this day, almost religiously, almost every single day. And it involves, again, it's all natural products. So it's going to start with the tallow soap. So again, it's unscented tallow soap that reacts really good for my skin. I don't really get anything. There's no real chemicals added that can harm the skin. The natural oils in the skin. Mixing baby powder with a bit of water, popping that on to really cleanse the skin. And the tallow, it's like a cream, which again you put on your face, put it overnight, and then wake up in the morning and wash it off. And it's been fantastic. It hasn't been perfect, but it's so much better than what it was before. And just the fact I'm off the drugs, let's say, it feels fantastic not to be on them because I knew deep down taking them, I knew it was a bad thing to do, but I just didn't have another option. So having that other option it's just amazing. It really is amazing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm really glad that we were able to make that progress and help you out. Because, like you said, on the mental health side, things like that they do affect and they can build up, and then it adds to the physical. And obviously, being on those antibiotics as well, that's really, destroying and harming your gut health, which everything comes from, and then that affects directly to your mental health as well as your physical health, and is making everything worse. So getting you off them was a huge step forward and a huge bonus. So no, that's really good to see, and it's good that you've been doing well since then, and that you're still doing the routine as well. That it worked well. I mean, I use the tallow soap and the tallow cream as well, because one of the real benefits of it as well is that not only is there no chemicals, there's nothing harmful, it's a completely natural product, but because you're using the beef fat, it has all the fat soluble vitamins in it. And what people don't realize is our skin is actually one of the best ways to take in vitamins and minerals.
It's
Because
the
if you
biggest
have
organ,
a
isn't it?
yeah, if you have a damaged gut, you struggle to absorb your food properly. But if you take it through your skin topically, it absorbs it without having to go through the gut. And so it's much better. And especially if your skin is where you need those vitamins and minerals, on your skin is the best way to do it. So another thing is with magnesium, for people who have cramps, instead of trying to take magnesium pills, which probably again don't get absorbed because your gut's damaged, if you use a spray it on your legs where you get the cramp, that's going to work much faster. So that's another benefit that people have from using those creams, is it's getting those vitamins and minerals in.
Really, I did not know that at all. I knew obviously about the skin being the organ, but that's a really, really good point.
Mm.
Really good point. And to kind of backtrack a little bit with the skincare routine, my sister's very, very similar to me with the whole skincare side of it. And ever since I recommended this to her, again, this would have been around a month or two after using it and getting results, she is on the exact same routine and she's had a lot of success as well. So just to say thank you one last time for really putting me on that. Beyond, I'm just beyond, just over the moon with the whole process and everything. So again, really, really do appreciate that.
Ah, that's awesome. It is no problem at all. And glad to see that as well. You're passing the knowledge on to other people. That's like one of the main
Yeah.
things that we have with the podcast and when I'm coaching people. One of the main things is just education. Just spreading it out. If I can help someone who then goes on to help someone else who helps someone else, then that's brilliant. It's a knock-on effect. The more people we
Yeah.
can educate on real health, the better it is for everyone. So that's perfect.
Completely agree. Completely agree. Moving on from the skin, just a quick question. I don't think we've ever talked about this, but sun cream. What's your opinion on that?
Um, Avoid it. So sun cream. So sun cream is again, it's one of the things. If you read the ingredients and you look at what's in sun cream, it is full of chemicals, a lot of which are known carcinogens, known to cause cancer, and we don't need them on our skin. What I do and what I encourage people to do is, if you're eating a proper diet, if you're not eating seed oils and it's not you're not eating processed foods and rubbish, your skin can do a lot better in the sun. And what you need to do is you have to build up your skin. So go out, don't, if you've not seen the sun for 6 months, don't go out in the boiling hot sun for 12 hours because even if your skin's in good condition, you're probably going to burn. You have to build up to it. So, I live in Dubai now. I've moved there and I can go out at the weekend. It was my birthday and we went to the hotel for the day and I was out in the sun for 3, 4 hours in the day with a break in the middle. So like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then again, hour and a half, 2 hours, no sun cream at all. And I didn't burn. I was fine. But if I tried that when I first came here, maybe I would have burnt. But you have to build up your skin. Now you can get, again, there are tallow based sun creams that you can get if you really need something. But sun cream in general, I advise people to avoid as much as possible because it's full of chemicals and nothing good for you. And again, like we said before, the skin is the biggest organ on your body, and what goes on your skin ends up in your body. And a lot of people don't make that connection.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that about sort of building up a tolerance for your body to be able to withstand the sun.
Mm,
Really interesting you say that because I think your first example about if you haven't seen the sun for a while, go out for way too long, you're going to burn. Of course, you're going to burn, sort of thing. But if they don't know it's because they're not used to the sun, then maybe they'll just be like, okay, well, I just need sun cream
yeah.
always. So again, I guess that's going to be sort of good knowledge to pass on about once you kind of build up that tolerance, then you can stay longer in the sun. I think is it melanin? Is it
Yes.
something like that in the skin? Um, I yeah, just kind of building up the tolerance. But again, no one talks about this. No
No.
one says about this. The commercials for sun cream obviously don't say this because
No.
again, it's a very, very profitable market to be in because it's fantastic repeat business. There's always going to be another summer.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that's a really good point. A really, really good point.
Yeah. I mean, you have to think about as humans, for a long portion of time, we lived outside, but before we built how we would have some kind of shelters, but the majority of time we were outside, we didn't have sun cream. And it was no issue for us. And even living, say the UK where we're both from, even there, you'd be getting a decent amount of sun year round. But now what we do is we don't see the sun at all. We're inside. We're at work in the day inside. We're inside before work and after work, and we hardly see the sun. And then we go on holiday to a hot country and we spend 12 hours a day in the burning sun. And guess what? You
Yeah.
burn and you have issues. But you know, we need to be outside. And obviously, as well, talking, going back to hormones, as we were talking about earlier, out in the sun, getting your skin in contact with the sun, that's when your body produces vitamin D. as well, which is actually a hormone, even though we call it a vitamin. But it's healthy for us to be out in the sun. But obviously, you have to do it sensibly in terms of you have to build up your tolerance if you haven't been out in it so much. But once you do that and you cut out, I mean, seed oils, I think is the main thing that you need to cut from your diet in order to make your skin better in the sun. But I noticed the difference straight away. As soon as I changed my diet, going out in the sun was completely different. And then you go down the rabbit hole and you realize about sun cream as well, but then you're able to remove it because your skin handles it better.
That's actually, yeah, no, that's a really good point as well. So again, another thing that I'm sort of learning just by talking to you right now is that your ability for your skin, for your body to absorb the sun is directly correlated to what you're eating as well. So if you are eating these processed foods, these seed oils, that sort of thing, then your body's going to burn a lot quicker. It's going to be a lot worse for your body, which again makes you want to have sun cream, which is again worse for your skin. Everything is a knock-on effect.
Yes.
But the thing is, the opposite is also true. So you can have a knock-on effect towards, let's say, an upward spiral instead of a
Yeah.
downward one. So if you do sort out your diet, all of a sudden you sleep better. All of a sudden you got more energy, you spend more time in the sun, and then it can build up the other way as well. So it's not all sort of doom and gloom, but if you change just little things about your lifestyle, I think that's a key word for it. It's just
Yeah.
your lifestyle, about how you are living most of your life. I mean, you don't necessarily have to cut out, let's say, takeaways forever. Maybe when it's your birthday, maybe I'll do it once a week, which potentially is too often, but either way, it's just something I look forward to. But the other 6 days a week, I'm pretty regimented, but I don't force myself to be that way. It's just because I quite enjoy it. I like feeling healthy, I like feeling energetic, I like having that feeling. But yeah, no, I think it's just another really good point that you did raise.
Yeah, it's lifestyle's so key. And that's what I try and say to people. Like you said, small changes at a time is brilliant because it has to be a lifestyle. If you just try and change everything and just go completely crazy in the opposite direction, you'll never keep it up. That's why people do these crash diets and things like that. They never keep it up because it's too much. So you have to make it as changes and small changes. And as you start to discover new things, and it has to be something that you can keep up and just become part of your routine, like your skincare. So that's just part of your routine now. That's probably to you like brushing your teeth. Like you're naturally just going to do it. And that's the kind of things you want to build into your life, these little healthy habits that just become part of your daily routine. You don't think much about it, you just do it. And like you say, if you can do that 90% of the time, if on the other 10% you're going off it and maybe having a treat or having whatever, it's not going to be so much of an issue because the majority of it you've got dialed in.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. That's the thing about it. And you mentioned something then about, again, kind of being healthy, kind of rewinding back, going full circle about what we first talked about with the whole going to the gym and the aesthetic side of it. I almost feel that going to the gym for purpose beyond the aesthetic, beyond what you want aesthetically, keeps you going a lot
Yeah.
more. So for an example, I train MMA, jiu-jitsu, etc., that sort of thing quite often. A lot of times when I go to the gym, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about the sport. I'm thinking about I need to do a lot more reps because of the endurance. I need strength because if this happens in jiu-jitsu, I want to be able to do that. Instead of thinking about I want big shoulders, I'm thinking about let's do this exercise, which also correlates to, let's say, big shoulders, but there's a bigger purpose behind it. If I don't want to go to the gym, which most of the times I don't want to go, but again, it's part of a routine, it's part of a something you just do without, you know what I mean? You just kind of do it without thinking. If there's a purpose behind it, if there's a bigger purpose, then it's much easier to stick to it instead of
Yeah.
just being like, I want to look good. Sometimes the desire to look good isn't as powerful as the discipline required to do so, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, you've hit the nail on the head. It's absolutely true. And I recorded a podcast recently talking about this in terms of I was talking about weight loss. And weight loss is a terrible goal to have, and a goal weight is a terrible goal to have. What your goal should be is health. And if your goal is health, improving your health, then the weight loss will happen. And same with what you're saying about going to the gym. If you have an actual, a goal behind other than just wanting to look good, it motivates you more. I did a podcast with a lady about manifesting. She's the manifestation queen. And she said about, and I think it applies to everything, not just manifesting and trying to achieve stuff, is you have to have a strong why. Because no matter what you're trying to achieve, there'll always be hard times and you'll always feel like giving up. And if you don't have a why, you'll give up. But if you have a strong why, that's when you keep going. So I completely agree. I think you hit the nail on the head with it. You have to have that reason for doing it.
Completely, completely. And again, you can apply the exact same mindset to business, to all sorts of aspects in your life. If it's just because you want to buy a Ferrari and that's the only sole reason, well, you're probably not going to work those 18-hour days. You're probably not going to be, what I mean, sending X amount of emails per day or doing what needs to be done to get that Ferrari. But if you have a strong why, if you've got, let's say, a passion or a deeper reason behind it, then all of a sudden you might get that Ferrari, but it's because that why is so much stronger. But yeah, no, you're absolutely, the manifesting queen is completely right with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
She is absolutely. And it ties in as well, I think, to the whole discipline versus motivation, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people can be motivated and that's fine, but motivation is temporary. It's a feeling. Whereas discipline
Yeah.
is, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get it done. Whatever needs to happen will get done regardless of how I feel. And that's the way that you get something done. But too many people run on motivation, and like for 2 weeks they're all in, like this is great, and then first hiccup happens and they're gone.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's the thing about motivation because it is just a scam. Like, it's just this false illusion that you will always be buzzing to go to the gym, be buzzing to go boxing, be buzzing to get punched in the face. It just doesn't happen that way. And literally, I barely ever want to go to the gym. And that's not even because I don't even hate it. It's just like it's a chore. It's something I don't have time. Who has time to go to the gym? Like, who has time for an extra hour per day? Like, I'm busy. I've got things to do, but it has to be done. And I know that if I don't do that, then my mindset itself will, let's say, deteriorate slightly because I'm not doing that, which then again means I might not work as hard in business. I might not work as hard in that or that or that. Then all of a sudden it can crumble down a little bit because just one aspect I've sort of dialed down for that certain reason. But you're right, discipline is just the key to almost everything. And no one really discusses it too much. Well, not until recently, but
Yeah.
5, 6 years ago, I didn't hear anyone talk about this. It's just motivation, this,
Yeah.
this, this, but discipline is just the key to all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree completely. It is. Let's talk a little bit on diet. What were some of the things that you learned about that you improved and what you do now? Just run us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, so again, when I was going with the whole bulking phase and everything like that, I'd be eating a lot of carbs. And of course, the carbs would be broken down to sugar, so I'd be feeling really lethargic, really tired, really full, not that great at all. And even then, even after the whole bulking and cutting phase, when I was just, let's say, maintaining, I would still be eating a lot of these carbs, and I'd feel so tired after eating. Like
Yeah.
literally, I'd be like, I need to go to sleep. I need like a 15-minute nap. And I started talking to a guy in the gym, one of the PTs actually. He just walked past and we just started chatting. And I mentioned it to him. I said, "Is it normal that after I eat lunch, I feel really tired?" And he goes, "Well, what do you eat?" I'm like, "Pasta and chicken or rice and this." And he goes, "Well, yeah, just don't eat the carbs." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, just don't eat the carbs." I'm like, "But they're carbs. I like carbs." He goes, "I bet you do." But, and then he kind of went into the scientific reason as to why, which again, you know a lot more than me about it. But it does the carbohydrates. It's to do with, I think, spiking your insulin and your glycogen, your all of that sort of thing. So I started having a lot more fat, way more fat, and let's say 20% mince with a bit of butter added, cooked in either lard or tallow or something like that. But satiation alone, I can go a day without eating now. Once a month, I try to fast for 24 hours, and it's not that hard. It's not necessarily pleasant, but it's not that hard. It really isn't. Whereas it's more the carb cravings that
Yeah.
I think people have. It's the cravings for those. Well, carbs are great anyway. That's probably why you do crave it. But yeah, no, I just have a lot more protein, but a lot more fat. Whether that be again not full fat eggs, but the yolk with the eggs. I used to cut out the yolks, just have the egg white. So the whole egg, the 20% mince, the steaks. You know what I mean? All the natural fatty food is pretty much what I live on now. But I really enjoy it now. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, what you find, one of the things you find is that as you start to eat like that, and I was speaking to someone recently about this, and they were saying about they were struggling to eat the so much of the fat, and even on like the steak cuts and the meat cuts, they were struggling with the fat, which a lot of people do at first, especially find it more with females. But as you start to give your body the right things, your body actually then starts to crave it, and you actually want it more. But at first, a lot of people are kind of put off by it. Um, which actually is linked to hormone imbalances, which is very common in people eating low fat. But once you start to eat it, you actually start to crave it more and more, and then it becomes much easier to eat, and you start to crave the fat, which is I'm sure I'm the same as you, and I crave it now. Whereas I remember before I ate this way, if we went out and I got a steak, I would want one with not much fat. And if there was a bit of fat on there that was chewy, I'd be like, I can't bother to chew this. I'll leave it. Whereas now, I want to eat all the fat, and it's a complete 180. So I think you do find that. And obviously, like you mentioned with carbs, unfortunately, they do taste great. A lot of them taste great. There's no denying that.
Unreal.
And it's unfortunate. So, obviously, people do have the cravings and people do enjoy them, but it's about, even if you want to continue eating them, it's about maybe cutting down the amounts that you have them or how often you have them, and getting it under control.
Yes. Yeah, no, completely that. And maybe even then it's going to be to do with the timing of when you have it.
Yes.
So for an example, I typically eat around sort of maybe 8, half 8 in the evening, so after work, and then I won't eat until 1 or 2 p.m. the next day. So I have that period of time that I fast. And I do this every day, like the whole breakfast. I won't get started on breakfast, or maybe we can in a minute, but yeah, that when you're going to be fasting, it's so much more satiating. But yeah, with the carb cravings, if anything, if I were to have carbs, it'd probably be towards when I'm breaking the fast. I know you should be breaking it with, again, a good fatty meat and everything, but if you need a couple, I don't know, maybe a bit of white rice or pasta or something, just a little bit, then of course it doesn't need to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be full-blown keto for the rest of your life, or crisps every single meal. You
Yeah.
can find that balance. And I think it's to do with everybody having a different balance in their mind. Like it's just finding that point and just trying to stick to it.
Yeah.
But it seems that when you do start to take away the carbs from people, or if you even mention it, first thing, no, no, not
Yeah.
doing that, not giving up that. And I understand it, but again, it doesn't have to be given up. You can have a little bit during, that meal there. You can have once a week if you know what I mean, have it as a treat, attach a reward to it, and then it feels a lot. It's a lot nicer
Yeah.
when you're having something, but it's because it's been attached to some sort of something you've had to do to achieve it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And food addiction is a real thing, and it is the
Yeah.
sugary foods that do that. So, people do struggle with it. You do find that reaction. If you tell people to cut out any other macronutrient, it's fine. But as soon as you say carbs, they're up in arms. They're in instant attack mode. People don't want to give them up.
Yeah.
You can see the hold it has. But I mean, you're completely right. And I always say this to people is, if you were to change everything 100% and purely optimal, but you're only going to keep it up for 4 weeks, don't even bother starting. Just don't even bother. It's pointless. But if you could change 80% and you can keep that up for the foreseeable, then just do 80%, because it needs to be something that you can do for the long term. Like we said, lifestyle. It's got to be a lifestyle, got to be a routine. And if you're not going to be able to keep it up, if it's too strict for you and you can't keep it up, don't even start. There's no point. So, for some people, 100% strict, fine. For some people, it needs to be maybe 80%. But it's finding what works for you and sticking to it, because 80% is still better than what most people are doing now. So it's just finding that point that works for you.
Yeah, completely agree. And in fact, I'd like your opinion on this. I saw
Yeah.
this recently, so I'll be interested to see what you think about it. But with the whole fasting side of it, again, if you go maybe 18 hours fasting and then 6 hours eating food or that eating window, what I haven't looked into this too much, but what the sort of consensus is, what you eat isn't necessarily as important because you've gone so long fasting, because maybe you would have reached autophagy and that sort of thing. It's much better. Let's say you had 3 meals a day, you had breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you were eating again the full fat, 20% mince, you had lard, butter, eggs, steak, etc. Having those 3 meals, but not really fasting, because obviously you eat when you go to bed and then you wake up in the morning, first thing you do eat. Let's say someone done that, or compare it to someone who only ate, let's say, midday and 8:30 at night. So again, there's a good amount of time to fast. If the person who was fasting also ate, let's say, I don't know, pack of crisps or Doritos or something that they necessarily shouldn't be eating. But because it's after a fast, how would you compare the two diets between person A, who eats 3 times a day, or person B, who fasts but also has a little treat, let's say?
So both of them would be eating pretty healthy, would be doing well for themselves, because obviously on the other side you've got that fasting. The overall, I would say the person eating 3 times a day would probably be better off, due to the fact that when if you're not eating carbs, if you're eating just fat and protein, you're almost essentially getting a lot of the benefits of fasting all the time. Now, you're not fasted when you eat, so there's certain things don't happen, and you still have to, you have to digest, and your body has to send energy for that away from other things. But the thing that will interrupt autophagy the most is carbohydrates, things like that, that would, spike in your blood glucose and your blood insulin and things like that. So eating with absolute zero carb, you're not in a fully fasted state, but you're very similar to it and getting a lot of the benefits from it. Whereas someone who is having some carbohydrates but fasting, they'll be getting good benefits, but probably overall, I would probably say the person eating the 3 meals a day would probably be better off than the person fasting. But I would say they're both doing a good job. In fact, I say this to people a lot, is that starting out, even if you don't change what you eat, like don't even change the food you eat, but just change how often, just start intermittent fasting. Like you say, do everything in like a 6 hour window or an 8 hour window, but the same foods, that will improve your health by a good amount. Not even
Yeah.
changing the food. Like you said, just changing how often you eat, because that long window gives your body a chance to do things that it can't do. Because nowadays, people are eating just constant. Like 3 meals is even recent. Used to be it was 2 meals, and then they introduced lunch because in the Industrial Revolution they wanted to give the workers time to eat something, so it went to 3 meals. Now people are eating like 7 8, like people are going no more than an hour without
Yeah.
eating, and your body can't do any of these tasks it needs to do, and that's why fasting is so beneficial. So you're absolutely right that just the fasting alone can have a huge health benefit without even looking at what you're eating.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I said I wouldn't, but the whole breakfast situation, then let's just touch
Yes,
on
yeah.
it just a little bit. I I ask people, I just say genuinely, when you wake up in the morning, are you hungry? Most of them are like, no. I'm like, do you eat breakfast? Yeah. Why? Can you please explain to me just why you eat breakfast if you're not hungry? And then it's the whole, well, it's a routine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's going back to the whole routine, but instead of using that routine mindset for, let's say, the gym or doing something productive, it's a routine of breakfast, which I do understand, because from literally, I don't know when it sort of came where it was really pushed. I think it's to do with, well, there's a lot of theory behind when it came in and the reasons as to why. I think, is it Edward Brunet kind of had a whole campaign about it, or something like that. But yeah, I guess it's a weird thing to get out of the habit of. But I'm like, but you're not hungry. So why, if you just didn't eat and you just ate more for lunch, you'd feel better. Your body would have less. it's been taxed to less by just constantly breaking down food all day after day after day. Um, so yeah, it's just so much energy being expended on just breaking down food all day. So no wonder you're going to be tired. No wonder you're going to be lethargic and just you can't really focus because I mean you're in a fed state. You can't really have that buzz of energy if if you're fully satiated, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the food they're eating as well, the type of food that they're eating. Like not only are
Yeah,
they eating first thing
yeah,
when they're not really hungry, but they're eating, high carb food. They're eating breakfast cereal and, toast with jam on and, it's just sugary stuff.
yeah,
So, an hour and a half later, mid-morning, everyone's crashing because of what they've ate and the fact they've eaten first thing. If you think about, again, what I always like to do is I always go back to look at thousands of years ago what humans would have been doing because thousands of years ago humans would have been living naturally how we're meant to. There's no human that thousands of years ago would have got up in the morning and first thing been eating food. Firstly, probably they've got to go and hunt to get it, but
yeah,
they're not just going to have food ready to eat when they get up. Even if they've got food available, they're going to have to maybe cook it for a while and prepare it. No one's going to eat first thing. They're going to eat slightly later on in the day. Our bodies aren't set up to eat first thing. You want to leave um at least, even if you're going to eat, because you could do your intermittent fasting earlier in the day, but if you're going to eat in the morning, you want to leave it a couple hours after you've woken up. At least you don't want to be eating as soon as you've woken up. Your body's just kind of, like an old computer that's taken a bit of time to, to get going and to boot up. That's what our
yeah,
body's like in the morning. It's got these systems going, it's coming up. It's kind of when we're getting to kind of our peak digestion is believed to be around sort of 11 in the morning, something like that. you know but early in the morning, as soon as you wake up, you don't want to be shoveling food down your throat. It's a terrible decision. And top that off with the type of food you're eating. And it's no wonder everyone, feels terrible. And they got us with the scam line of breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And technically, breakfast is the most important meal of the day because any meal that you break your fast with is your breakfast. So technically it
yeah.
is, but they made us think it was the morning and cereal, and that's what killed everyone.
Yeah, completely that. And it's absolutely criminal how they were. I mean, I don't know what it's like in different countries, but in the UK, we had Cocoa Pops, we
Yeah.
had Golden Nuggets, Cookie Crisp, we had all of these just basically pure sugar.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely wild to think it was not only acceptable, but it was pushed. It was
Yeah.
no, 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 have this for breakfast. Unbelievable. I think they've actually changed that recently. I could be wrong, but I thought I heard that it's no longer listed as a healthy cereal, whereas before they actually were listed as
Yeah.
healthy, which is it's mind blowing. It's
Yeah.
absolutely mind blowing. But again, people just be like, well, it says it on the internet. It said the government are telling
That's
me
it.
to, so
That's
I
it.
better have some Cocoa Pops in the morning. It's just not. It's just asinine. It's ridiculous.
I know. It's got fortified with vitamins written on it, so it must be good for me and all of this. It's like
Yeah,
it's no wonder
yeah.
kids love cereal because like you said, it's pure sugar. I used to love cereal. I used to have cereal all the time. It's great. It's
It's a
it's
cheat meal, if anything.
it's just pure sugar. And then, people are giving kids a bowl of sugar in the morning, send them out to school and wonder why they can't sit and concentrate. Like, give them some proper food.
Complete, completely that. And I mean, when you mix it in with lessons which probably aren't nearly as entertaining as TikTok flashing
Yeah.
screens in your eyes, that would be the hardest thing, just to sit still and just listen to someone for that
Yeah.
entire time going some like quite a mundane subject without some sort of stimulation. It's almost like when you're watching. I like to watch a movie like every couple weeks or so. I just quite enjoy sitting down and watching a good movie, typically an older one because the new ones are
Yeah.
got some sort of something in there. But yeah, even watching the film, I find myself gravitating towards my phone
Hmm.
to to entertain me whilst watching a film. I'm
Yeah.
like, my mind's gone. I like, and again, I'm very careful with how much social media I use. Give a 14-year-old who has TikTok on all day, I can't even begin to imagine the issues the teachers have to face. Yeah,
Yeah.
unreal,
Yeah, no, 100%. The attention span has been completely destroyed
nuked.
absolutely by social
Yeah,
media. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, before we run out of time, tell us a little bit about your business you're doing, which is within health and fitness, and one that we're happy to support. Give us a little bit about how you got into that and what it is.
Of course, of course. So the business name, the company name is Hazza Toyz, so Hazzatoyz. It's a play on with my name that is Haslam, but also my dad used to be called Hazza back in school, so I thought it'd be a nice call back. But essentially, the story started when I was trying to find my name. I went into Smith's Toys, which is a big toy retailer here in the UK, almost like a Toys R Us, but I think it's maybe only UK. But anyway, just a big toy store, and I just wanted like a cute, cuddly toy to give to him. And yeah, all the toys were like cats or dogs or penguins or something, which is fine, but I'm like a bit more of like a boy toy. Something just a little bit different, a little bit more quirky. So I was like, well, I'm into the gym, into fitness. Let me get him like a toy dumbbell or something, just like a plush toy dumbbell. So looked online and I couldn't really see anything. I saw like a plastic one which lights up. I'm like, no, no, I want like a cuddly one. And I was like, I'll just create one. So started drawing a few, getting a couple of designs. I got a hold of different manufacturers and ended up picking on a manufacturer which I felt had the best quality and all the certificates needed for it to be able to be sold in the UK and therefore Europe and all different places in the world. But yeah, that it's called Hazza Toyz. It's just a little toy dumbbell or kettlebell. I've got two different toys, different colors available. They have little rattles in there, which is great for sensory development. It's great for the motor skills of grabbing. It's super cute, soft, cuddly. So yeah, no, that's my little business. We're on Amazon. I got my website. I got social medias. So it's just growing the brand from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome because, there's no negative to trying to get kids more active. Kids are not active enough. So, getting them something like that and maybe getting them interested in, being active and those weights and using them to play and be active. I think there's absolutely no negative to that. So, I think that's great, and that's why we're happy to support it. So, let's give us the website. I'll put all the details in the description for the episode so people can find them easily. But tell us what the website is, where people can go to if they want to check that out as well, and the social media.
Yep, so it's hazardtoys.co.uk. And again, the link's going to be below, but the social medias, you got Instagram as Hazard Toys, you got TikTok as Hazard Toys, and YouTube as it's all just Hazard Toys. So we'll pop that down below, so obviously you guys can check it out, have a little look. But yeah, no, it's made with the greatest intentions in mind. It's obviously to do with my family, so it's just a nice. I don't know. I guess going back to kind of go full circle about the whole manifestation and having the why. The why is also to do with my last name, to do with my legacy, to do with building something that my family can look at and be proud of. So that's
Yeah.
typically why I'm working so hard towards it because it's a very niche toy. There's not the biggest market in the world for it, and I mean, organic growth on social media is not the easiest thing in the
No.
world. So that's what keeps me going. Just the name behind it. So, but yeah, all the links are going to be below. But the name is just Hazard Toys. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I encourage everyone to check it out. If you need to buy any baby toys for anyone else or for your own kids, then definitely check it out and get them. And listen,
Absolutely.
Jay, thanks so much for coming on. It's been great to chat. I hope you've enjoyed it as well.
Hamidi, thanks so much for having me on, Ryan. It's been a great talk, and yeah, we might do a part two. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We'll come back. There's plenty more to talk about. We'll do it again.
There's a lot more. Yes.
Always. All right, and thank you everyone else for listening. We'll see you again next week, and let's get optimal together.